I'm the coach, Brian Wright, here to go over DBX5, Dirty Boxing, Houston, Texas. Happened last Friday. What an amazing event. I was fortunate enough to be commentating from ringside for the night. I got to see the action within feet of me. In that 18-foot iconic DBX ring, we saw the new rules of dirty boxing, which are kind of taking on combat sports by storm. Super interesting. This is an area where the best of boxing, MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai collide under a hybrid rule set to see which skill set's going to reign supreme in this situation. So, DBX was a great show, stem to stern. All the fights were rather interesting. We're seeing an evolution in the sport where people are bringing their primary skill set and they're evolving it to fit the rules, to fit the night. 3-minute rounds, 18-foot ring, no knockdown rule, 5 seconds of ground and pound, 4-ounce gloves, world-class athletes. This is just an explosive opportunity for fans to watch these fighters with was normally a high knockout rate put on very entertaining bouts. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to go through this. I don't want to be rattling on. I want to get to it, give you my thoughts. Tell me if you agree or disagree in the comments. If you don't like what I have to say, I'm sorry. It's my opinion. I'm a coach. I'm looking at it objectively. All right. The first bout of the night was Agbona versus Cannon. Now, Agbona came into this for his first DBX fight. He was talking a ton at the fighter meeting when we were interviewing to find out their background. This guy was very high on his skills. He was going to be totally prepared, and he was going to go out there and put on a show. Cannon's somebody that we've already seen. I believe this was his third DBX experience. Now, the whole thing about this fight was Cannon needs the proper dance partner to put on his show. He's a high output, big-time cardio guy. He likes to apply pressure. He's coming forward. He's swinging the whole time. Agbona wanted to have more of a clean fight. He was a little bit overwhelmed by Cannon with his pressure, but Agbona did pick his shots. He would create some distance, and he was landing some punches. Now, was he as sharp as he said he was going to be? Absolutely not. I don't feel that he lived up to the hype that he was putting out there for himself. Did he have a good performance? It was okay. Cannon did what Cannon does. I actually would have given the fight to Cannon. I thought that his consistent pressure and his desire to make it a fight overwhelmed Agbona, who was picking his shots. He was trying to move, but he was throwing a lot of punches going backwards. He was throwing off his heels a lot. He did land with some decent power with his cross. The fight did go to overtime. Agbona got the judge's decision. I don't know how I really feel about it. Either way, I mean, it kind of was a coin flip. It was a contrast of styles. But Cannon's somebody that I don't know if he's really run his course with DBX just yet. But he does have to make some adjustments with his style, because when he's going back to the toolbox, he has a limited amount of tools that he keeps leaning into. I'm sure he has a better jab and some straighter punches than he showed us, but he's got to learn how to control the distance and to start putting on some damage, not just wearing away, but actually making decisive strikes to create damage. Now, Agbona, I think he's going to go back to MMA. I doubt he's going to come back to DBX. He was what I would say is an underwhelming winner. He won the fight, fine. Do I really want to see him again? I'm not really sure. He would have to pick up his output. The intensity of his game would have to match the intensity of his pregame talk for me to be more interested in him. So Agbona got the win, but I think Cannon has more of a upside, in my opinion, for developing a career in dirty boxing. Now, the next fight was very interesting. It was Yanez versus Guerrero, two women that were very good friends. They literally called each other to see if the fight was going to be okay. You never would have known they were friends when the bell rang, because Guerrero was just, she was just an avalanche of output. She did a really strong offensive effort. It was not the prettiest attacks, but it was highly effective. You know, Yanez was trying to make this a technical fight, but Guerrero's pressure was just stopping the technique from being able to express itself. Guerrero was very overwhelming, and she got the nod. I thought it was rightfully so. She mixed up her punches and her elbows very well. She came forward the entire fight. I would have loved to have seen Yanez mix up her elbows a little bit more, maybe cut some angles. She had to carry a lot of pressure for the fight. She was trying to stay light on her feet and move, but it wasn't effective movement for the pressure that Guerrero was applying. So, very interesting fight. Two friends, two very different styles. Guerrero gets the nod, rightfully so. 100% agree with that decision. Now, we move on to Jun Lee versus Cardozo. Now, Jun Lee, they called him the Hippo, comes out against Cardozo. Cardozo, really game. I loved the way he was utilizing his elbows. He had different angles of attack. But Lee, man, he was smooth. He was putting together combinations. It was 2, 3, 4 punches at a time. He was very light on his feet for a big man, and he really did put on a show. It was a very entertaining performance by Lee. Cardozo was a very game opponent. He stayed in there the whole time. He was trying for the knockout all the way to the final bell, landed a spinning elbow on multiple occasions, was utilizing the rule sets to his best. Lee, as a newcomer to the sport, amazing job. I honestly would like to see the both of them come back again with the right opponents. Cardozo is somebody that I don't think his record really reflects his skill. Very skilled fighter. He just needs the right opponent to be able to have a more successful performance. Let's put it that way. Lee is somebody I think is going to be very hard for any of the heavyweights to deal with. I really do hope he makes the decision to make a commitment to dirty boxing, and we can see him a few more times in the dirty boxing ring. Now, we're going to move on to Rhodes versus Munoz. Rhodes was someone that I thought was going to be a sleeper. I was really looking forward to him. Munoz, I was not really sure where he was going to be. I thought he was a little overconfident in his skill set when he was being faced with such a good boxer, or a boxer with as much experience, I should say, as Haskell Rhodes. So those two was a very interesting fight. Munoz was clearly outweighed. Rhodes cut a lot of weight. Munoz came up. I told him afterwards, I was like, look, man, you need to go back to your weight class. There's a reason why we have weight classes. Munoz at 125 is definitely a problem. He, by far, out of all the shows, was the most effective usage of elbows and Muay Thai rhythm in the DBX ring, bar none. He was neutralizing a lot of Rhodes' attacks and Rhodes' mistakes with his footwork with effective elbows. A lot of people come in, they club with the elbows. They're not that surgical. Munoz was surgical. Now, Rhodes, this is a guy with a lot of experience. I expected him to be a little bit sharper. I don't know if it was the little gloves, the lack of experience under the DBX rules, but he was throwing punches blind. You could see he was looking away a little bit when he was throwing. He was over punching, meaning he was committing to his punches in a way that he really couldn't move. He was getting stuck after he would throw, which gave Munoz the opportunity to land some elbows. Rhodes, with a little bit more effective footwork, probably could have ended the fight, but he kept allowing Munoz back into the fight. Rhodes eventually gets the decision, which was rightfully deserved. He definitely scored more, but I was underwhelmed by his effective usage of boxing, which he has a really strong pedigree in. So if Rhodes comes back, I would like to see him be a little bit more comfortable, and I would like to see him utilize his boxing IQ to a higher level than we saw that night. Munoz is someone I definitely want to see again. I want to see him in the proper weight class, and I want to see someone that's going to allow him once again to utilize that range control and go to work. That was a really good fight. I enjoyed it tremendously. Munoz put on a show. Rhodes put on a show. But with Rhodes, again, just sharpen up that footwork a little bit. Pay attention to where those punches are landing. Don't get stuck on the inside and realize, yeah, those elbows are coming. So, yeah, good fight. I would love to see both of those guys again. Now we move on to Killer B Nguyen versus Young. Both of them were very confident in the fighter meeting. I think Nguyen was a little overconfident. She felt that the size difference, because Young was literally like a head and a half taller than her with crazy reach advantage. Yen thought like, oh, I'm going to get inside. I'm going to really beat up her body. That is not what happened. She really struggled to get inside the entire night. She ate a lot of punches. Young effectively used her range, stayed on the jab. She corralled her opponent at times, but the craziest part was the end of this fight. Young kind of dragged it out, was not putting a high output, and then out of nowhere, she just unleashed a combination, just a flurry of punches, and she ended the fight. Yen had no answer once Young opened up. So I would like to see Young come back. I don't think Yen, with her age and her experience in combat sports, we'll see her again. I think this is the end of her career. But Young, probably will see again. She needs to start the way she finished because her finish was spectacular. But the lead up to it was a little lethargic, and she had her chin way high, and she was eating punches that she didn't need to eat. If she stayed on her jab, put her combos together earlier, this fight could have got done a lot quicker. So I would like to see Young come back, have some more higher level of comfort in the DBX ring, and let's give her an opponent that's going to move and bang with her. Okay, the next fight we have up, this was a fight that was rather surprising. It was Brian Mancia versus Parasiteus. Now, Parasiteus brings uh, like an underground feel and a bare knuckle background from the European scene. I was not really sure what we were going to see. I knew he was going to be able to take damage due to the fact that he's coming from bare knuckle. And then we had Mancia, who is a major league baseball vet. This is someone that is coming up through a farm system, made it all the way to the major leagues. I don't remember the team that he played for, but he played Major League Baseball. That's a massive athletic accomplishment. I don't know if people understand the value of that in sport. Now, the thing that was so crazy was for a sport that demands discipline and focus, Mancia came out guns blazing, was looking to put it away quickly. It's almost as if someone didn't explain to him that this is three-minute rounds. He gassed himself halfway through the first round and basically never recovered. Parasiteus, he survived the storm, and then he really started to land clean punches, and he took over and won the fight. This was really a fight where you saw grit and experience overwhelm youth and athleticism. I've got to give it to Parasiteus. He really survived a monster storm, kept his wits about him. And the one thing, I was sitting there and I was watching, Parasiteus's eyes never really blinked or got rocked. His feet got out from under him a few times, but he was laser focused on his opponent, and he was really controlling the distance as best he could. And he waited for his opportunities, and then he was picking his moments. And it was really, it was a very good performance by Parasiteus, and I think he will be a problem for people in this division because he was very composed under pressure. He had very good targeting, and he hit rather hard. So these are things that will add up to future success in DBX. Now, Mancia, he needs to go back to the drawing board, and he needs a lot more experience. He needs to learn how to pace himself, and he has to pick his targets a lot better. So, interesting fight. Maybe we'll see both of them back. I have a feeling we'll see Parasiteus back. I think Mancia is going to need to go to MMA, and he's going to have to get himself some more experience before he finds any great success. Now, the main prelim bout was a firefight. That was St. John versus Morris. I feel horrible for Morris. He got stuck at an airport for 2 days. We had a monster weather event on the East Coast. It shut down a lot of stuff. He got stuck at Charlotte Airport. He didn't have anything, couldn't water load properly. He missed weight because the weight cut was just a mess for him. I feel for him that way, but he still showed up on fight day. He still went out there and he did his thing. But Travis St. John, to me, was the standout of the show in terms of showing a bit of grit, handled some adversity, got rocked a little bit, then found his focus, and he put Morris away. He put Morris away with a monster punch. It was really nice to see Travis after his first two experiences not ending. He didn't get the W's. His first fight, amazing fight. That was a fight with Silva that ended up being viewed upon in a lot of ways as the fight of the night on that first show. His next performance, he came out, he was not really prepared. He had a terrible weight cut. He probably shouldn't have fought. So he's 0-2 going into this fight, has a ton of pressure on him, fighting in his hometown. Afterwards, we find out he has a lot on his mind because he's fighting for a comrade in the fire department. And he went out there and he showed what he was made of, and he had really good targeting, and he put his power to work, and he put Morris away. It was a very good performance. I think if St. John has the right opponents, he will be developed, and I think he has the potential to be a future star in the sport. Now, we move on to the main card. We had Cranio versus Zuniga, kicking it off. All right. Cranio is someone that came in highly touted because he had a lot of kickboxing experience. That's fine. Zuniga comes in, he's a replacement, I believe. Okay boxing experience. People are looking at the two of them, and Cranio looks like Ilya Toporia's, if you bought him on Wish. And then you've got Zuniga, who comes in and his boxer shorts were hanging out and his shorts were falling off, and you could see his cup was duct taped together. So you have this kind of put together image versus this rough looking kid. But Zuniga's got the boxing, and Zuniga came out and he bladed up on his stance. He sat on his punches. Cranio came in like a classic kickboxer, a little bit too square, and he was looping his punches, which was shortening up his punches. Zuniga had reach on him. He utilized his jab effectively, was turning off his hook, was landing his cross, and he picked Cranio apart. Cranio, by far, everyone's going, oh my God, this guy's going to do so good. People are looking past Zuniga, but Zuniga was the one that came in with a low value, walks out of there with star potential. His footwork, his jab, his personality, he was showboating a little bit towards the end because he really found himself in that ring. And that was one of the things I really enjoyed watching, was you saw him come in. Zuniga's kind of, I don't know what's going on, to he's completely at home, putting on a show, and he dominated his opponent. Cranio's face was not looking good by the end of the fight. Zuniga, standout performance. That's one of the top fights of the night. That's in my top 3. I really, really enjoyed that fight. Zuniga got a dominant decision. Very good fight. All right, now we move on to some big boys in Cleveland and Pauga. Cleveland is a guy who's got experience in the DBX ring. I believe he fought for the DBX title. It didn't go his way. And then he goes against Pauga, who's a former NFL player, UFC veteran. This is somebody that has got experience, high-level sports, high-level fighting. Both of these guys, it was a very good matchup. The matchmaker did a great job pulling this one together. The unfortunate situation here is that Cleveland, I believe, tore his bicep. I don't know for a fact what happened, but it looked like his bicep detached in the middle of round 1 or 2. Pauga was doing a phenomenal job, maintained his good stance. He was putting together good combinations. He was picking his targets. You saw he was using a little bit of a Philly-ish kind of shell, and then he would launch his jab. He was landing really strong overhands. Cleveland was doing his best to try and counter, but when he took away his counter weapon, which is the hook with the detached bicep, the fight kind of fell apart. I think Pauga would have taken this fight if it went the distance. They had to stop it due to injury with Cleveland. It was a game performance. I don't know how long it's going to take for Cleveland to get back. Absolutely want to see him back in the DBX ring, keep getting that experience and allowing himself to develop. Pauga, I think, is going to be a problem in the division. I think a lot of heavyweights are going to have a rough time with him. This is a super athletic guy who knows how to punch. He can take a punch. He can give a punch. Very strong performance by him. I'm very high on what his future is going to bring. Now, let's go to the next fight. This fight probably should have been the main event. This was an amazing matchup of two guys that, if there was ever two guys in this organization that were meant for the organization, it's Silva and Felipe. Silva and Felipe are so comfortable in that 18-foot DBX ring with those little gloves. This fight for both of them was the most technical version I've seen of both. And it was like this dramatic, stressful experience. I loved it. They were utilizing distance. They were utilizing timing, putting together combinations. Silva was trying to be the counter puncher. Felipe was trying to, land the big shots like he normally does. This was a chess match. Felipe ended up smashing through the defensive nature of Silva and was landing more consistently, which ultimately gives him the win. But it was a technical breakdown of Silva's counter style. Silva was sitting back, looking to counter. Felipe would come in, see the counter coming, and would keep crashing through. They were doing this dance back and forth. You would see one would go to strike. They would see the counter coming. They would back off a little bit. It was this yo-yo battle. It was great. I loved it. Felipe clearly won the fight. I thought Silva did not lose any points in my book off of this. I think both fighters come out with a higher value. I think both fighters in their next bouts are going to be better for what they just did. I actually would love to see a rematch in this. I could watch these guys fight multiple times and have no problem with it. I think Silva with a few adjustments could give Felipe a hard time. Felipe with some straighter punches, I think it actually puts Silva away. I would love to see these guys as they get more comfortable and they get better to definitely do this dance again. What a great fight. Felipe, hard fought victory, well deserved. I actually think he's marching towards, when they do the middleweight title, he's someone that they have to be looking at very strongly to be on one side of that card. Now, we go to the co-main, which is Willis versus Kelly. Horribly underwhelmed by this fight. I don't have a lot of good things to say about it. In the fighter meeting, Willis has had an air of, he's just going to dispatch this guy rather easily, that is experienced. Nobody wants to fight him. He's really good. Talked way too highly of himself and carried that into the ring against a very game Kelly. Kelly does not have the experience. Kelly, on paper, doesn't belong in this fight, but he kept himself in the fight with just pure determination. And that determination shut Ben Willis down. He was afraid to engage because he didn't want to get countered. Sure, he landed cleaner shots, landed a touch more volume, but the pressure of Kelly and the shots they did land, this fight was a coin flip of a decision for me. I was leaning towards Kelly. I'm not upset that Willis won. His technique was clearly better, but sometimes you've got to look at the pressure and you got to look at the effectiveness, and you've got to take more than just the cleanliness into account. So Willis wins. I think Kelly comes out with that loss, but with I look at him, I give him more value in that loss than I give Willis on the victory. I don't know if Willis has the skills and the mentality for DBX. I think he's built for Muay Thai. He says he wants to do MMA. I don't know if he has the ability with little gloves to box the way that DBX requires you. So he gets the W, but I don't really care to see him back. I hate to be that blunt about it, but I think there are other people out there that are going to put on better performances than this guy. I feel like he needs to go back to Muay Thai or move on to MMA. DBX is not really the skill set for him. Kelly has to clean up his technique, but the guy's proven he's got the heart to do this. So if he wants to get another shot, I say throw him in there and let his wild style reign, and let's see what can happen. I think he at least should get it. Give him one more, and then let him be judged off that. All right, let's move on to the main event. Main event, you got Clark versus Bittencourt. Interesting fight, 5-round fight. I don't agree with the decision. I'm going to say that straight off the bat. Bittencourt was flat-footed, sitting there looking to counter. She was countering effectively, but I think the volume that Clark was throwing overwhelmed the limited shots, power shots that Bittencourt was throwing. I think over 5 rounds, I see Clark getting at least 3 of those rounds. I see Bittencourt maybe getting 2 of those rounds, definitely got 1, possibly 2, but I think Clark won that fight. I do feel that that's a fight that has to be run back. They gave Bittencourt the nod. She got the belt. That clash of styles, the judges, I guess, appreciated the power and the pressure, but Clark was scoring more, in my opinion. I'm watching this, and I'm not going to say she's picking her apart, but she's landing consistently. Yes, did Clark eat a couple punches? Yes, but she was never really rocked. Neither fighter was really ever in any danger. So when there's no danger and there's not that much pressure going on, I've got to then go to the volume and the control. And I think Clark won on volume and control over those 5 rounds. So it is what it is. The judges are always going to go where they go. And the beauty of DBX with the little gloves and the small ring is that if there's ever a sport where you have the opportunity to finish somebody, it's this one. So if you think it's close at all, you must go for the kill. You must cut off that ring, and you've got to put your hands on somebody. Bittencourt clearly was going for the kill, but she didn't have the speed or the footwork. Clark had the speed and the footwork, but not the power. So in a lot of ways, they neutralized each other. The judges, again, lean towards Bittencourt. I lean towards Clark. I say let him do it again. I think Clark deserves it. I think she's got the skill. I don't see too many other people that are coming up in the division that have the power or the skill of either of them. I say we do it again. I don't know if I would main event it. I don't know if the fans really wanted to see that as a main event. I think that's good as a co-main event with another title fight as the main event. I mean, hell, I'd see Silva and Felipe over 5 rounds for the middleweight belt. I'm all for it. I say do that one and then bring Clark and Bittencourt in as the co-main event, and I think we have a banger of a card. Maybe we see that at DBX 7 or 8. I would say 6 or 7, but I don't want to fall into the trend, but I just did. All told, DBX, we're at DBX5. When you look at the level of production, you look at the evolution of the athletes in a short amount of time. I haven't seen anything like this since K1 in its early days. K1 around 2000 was in a similar situation where it's taking stuff that we know and putting it in a new package with a high knockout rate, high entertainment value. I feel like DBX is kind of that for 2026 and beyond. If you're a fan of fights, this is something I feel you need to watch because it's everything we want. It's drama, it's skill, it's personality, it's high knockout rate, it's short, it delivers quickly, the action is nonstop. There's really, even in the technical bouts, they're still landing at a higher volume than you're going to see in other things. You got to remember, you watch the UFC, they're in a 30-foot octagon. There's a tremendous amount of room to run if you want to run. DBX is a 18-foot ring. I don't think you understand how small that is. These heavyweights, it's like they're fighting in a phone booth. It's wild. Then you take out the knockdown rule. The guys are allowed to continue punching. So the action just keeps going until it's resolved. This is not a thing where there's a ton of breaks by the referee. There's not a lot of opportunities to recover. You get in, you get it done, you move on to the next fight. That's what I like about it. I watched Zuffa boxing the other night, and I like boxing, but it's long, and it's a slow build. DBX is boxing that gets right to it, and the damage is a little bit higher, a little bit quicker because of the gloves. So when you're looking at a formula for entertainment value, when you're looking at a formula where skill has to be executed quickly, where you don't have a lot of time to kind of figure it out, you got to get in, you got to get it done, this is it. This is why I'm a fan, not just somebody that commentates, but I'm a huge fan of the sport. I think it has a massive upside. I think people that, the boxing system is tough. People that are in the boxing system that are looking for an alternative should come to DBX. Kickboxers, you have nowhere to go. There's nowhere for you. I mean, maybe you go to Ryzen, but Glory is pretty much gone. K1's trying to make a comeback, but in terms of paying an opportunity, DBX gives you something. Sure, you're not going to be able to kick, but utilize your experience, come into a new thing and give yourself a chance. And then MMA guys, hey, there's a lot of guys I know that like to put MMA gloves on and they like to fight, but they hate the wrestling. This is the perfect sport. It's perfect. This is the perfect hybrid sport. So you get the people that boxing's not letting them in for whatever reason because the politics of boxing are real and they're deep. Ask Andre Berto, my broadcasting partner. He will tell you all about that. Maybe we'll bring him on next time and we'll have that conversation. But boxing politics are rough. Kickboxing doesn't have the opportunity that it used to have. And MMA, it's a deep waters there too. I'm not going to say it's as political, but if you don't like to wrestle and you don't mind throwing with little gloves, I say come over and give it a shot. You could really build a career here. So I'm looking forward to the future with DBX. I'm looking forward to the next card. I believe we've got that coming up in March, DBX 6. I believe that's Nashville. I don't have the date in front of me exactly, but as we get closer and as the bouts are developing, we'll hop on and we'll talk more about it. So yeah, this is Brian Wright. I am the coach at DBX. I am thoroughly enjoying my time. I thoroughly enjoyed the fights the other night. People wanted to see more knockouts, but I was impressed with the evolution of the athletes. I was impressed by how the elbows and the punches were being mixed in better. I was impressed by how people used pressure effectively to neutralize the maybe, let's say, higher skilled opponents. Yeah, there was really solid athletes and their teams taking on this rule set, taking on their opponents, and effectively executing. This was not ugly. This was not sloppy. This is not bare knuckle boxing, which can be a little brutal. This was not tough man. This was a real sport. And I look forward to seeing more people do it in the future. So, Dirty Boxing, check it out on YouTube. You can see all 5 events on there. I'll put links in the comment section. Let me know if you agree or disagree. But again, I'm Brian Wright. I'm the coach at DBX, and I am out. Peace.